Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where we want to do the level 80 Black Mage quest. A home for a tome. Lalai is eager to hear tell of your recent adventures. Welcome back to these halls, Desiree of the Black. I sense that the dark powers in you are ever burgeoning. Pray tell, where have your travels taken you since last we met? I traveled to a world flooded with light. A journey to another world, you say? Intriguing indeed. Consider me impressed and even a bit envious. How you were able to peer into the past of the Archmage Neilbert and form a bond across the ages with his young friend Tainer? Though the circumstances are not entirely the same, I cannot help but think back to my own encounter with a great Jadotto. Speaking of which, I too have been keeping myself occupied. Why, I have recorded every detail we learned on our last adventure in writing, that we might preserve Jadotto's knowledge for posterity, and avert any similar calamity that may threaten future generations. Just the other day, I put the finishing touches on the final chapter of the final volume, concluding with Jadotto's departure. There is, however, one lingering... Huh? Well, fancy that. I've come to check up on Lalai here, and who do I find but our old friend Desiree? Here? Well, if it isn't everyone's favorite mutton-headed hero. I need neither your support nor your sympathy, but I suppose you've never been one to let that stop you. Come now, Lalai. You yourself mentioned that you were at a loss for what to do with the records you had scribed, yes? I simply hope to inquire as to whether there have been any fruitful developments on that front. So you mean to rub salt in my wounds, yes? There's been no developments, fruitful or otherwise. I consulted with my brothers and sisters of the Order of Nightfall, but to the last man they refused to even entertain the thought. You consulted with... do you mean to say that you're still a member of the Order? Why, I had always assumed you had been excommunicated for your pursuit of the dark arts. Excommunicated? Simply for the pursuit of knowledge, perish with thought. Well, to be fair, there are many holier than thou types in the Order who share this pig-headed hero's opinion. Irrespective of this, the fact remains that the Order sealed away countless tomes in their vaults when they forbid the art of black magic. Storing my own writings with them, I would argue, is the most logical option. But no, they are too prudish and prejudiced against yours truly to listen to reason. Then again, perhaps if a thaumaturge in good standing with the Order were to put in a good word on my behalf? You may indeed find them more sympathetic here. What do you say, Desiree? Sure. Excellent. Then let us hurry to your ceremony and see if we can't convince that sufferable stuffy Yayake to see good sense. A moment, if you please, Desiree. To tell the truth, the question of where to store her records is not the only matter that concerns me about Lalai of late. Recently, I cannot help but feel that the etheric power within her is... shifting, warping in ways that I have not felt before. As for why this is, I cannot yet be sure. Until we discover more, pray look after her, will you? Alright. My apologies, but I believe it best that I remain here until your negotiations are complete. I shudder to think of the consequences if my colleagues of the Conjurers Guild found out I was conspiring with the likes of you and Lalai. Nothing personal, of course. I swear, for a veteran of the Order, she has all the sense of a simpering child. Desiree, well, this is an unexpected surprise. And not an entirely pleasant one, though it is by no fault of your own. The unmitigated gall of you, Lalai. Did you honestly believe that dragging poor Desiree here, against her will no doubt, would convince me to agree to housing your shameful scribblings in our archives? I've said it once, and I will say it again. Until the day you renounce the depraved teachings of Kokoruka, you will find no friends here. I would see these books burn before I give them a home here, for our sake and for your own. I swear, despite that pretentious monocle, you remain as blind as a bat to the big picture. Desiree of a Black, talk some sense into this overstuffed secretary. Do all in the order agree with your decision? Huh, at least one of us here is capable of communicating like an adult. I will grudgingly admit that there is one other who shares the Lalai's sentiments. In fact, it is none other than our very own guild master, Master what was his name again? Kokobuki, ha! It does not surprise me in the least. Come, Desiree, let us present our case to someone wise enough to understand it. After all you have done for our guild, I felt you deserved an answer to your query, and so I gave you one, and yet I advise you to proceed with caution. Lalai has few allies here, and I would hate to see your pristine reputation sullied by association. Who cares if everyone else in this place is an insufferable dunderhead? With a guildmaster himself on our side, the argument is as good as won. I was wondering who might be behind the screaming and stampeding that echoes all the way to this chamber. The Sister Lalai, was it? Yes, it's true. I find myself rather convinced by the young lady's argument. It is all but impossible for us to prevent any and all from studying the dark arts. Why then not keep this dangerous knowledge close at hand, where we keep an ever-watchful eye on those who would pursue it? And yet I fear that my own view is not a popular one, and my power to influence the others is far from absolute. And so I would offer a proposal. Let us state our case directly to the head of the order, to Prioress Lalai herself, that she might pass judgment. You and Lalai shall argue in favor of accepting the tomes, and those opposing shall argue against. Should all go well, the Prioress will agree to the proposal and the tomes will have a safe home. And yet, the plan is not without risk. Should your argument be less than convincing, there remains a chance Lalai may expressly forbid any further research, while if she's in a particularly foul mood, your very presence in the order may suddenly become quite tenuous. As if there's a chance my words could be anything but persuasive. I accept. Pray summon the Prioress at your earliest convenience. Well, that settles it. We'd best hurry and prepare our argument. Out of the enemy's earshot, of course. Come with me, Desiree. For whatever it avails you, I shall voice my opinion in the favor. No doubt Prelat Yayake will take her place at the head of the opposition. On another matter, is Lalai quite alright? I could not help but sense the aether within her swirling in a most unusual fashion. You too, huh? Lalai seems to be in unusually high spirits. I trust the negotiations went well, and yet something concerns me. This is our chance, Desiree. We simply must convince the Prioress at all costs. The future of our art depends on it. What is this curious sensation? Lalai, I knew something was amiss. The aether within you is transforming in a most unusual way. I must admit, I have not felt quite myself lately. My head, it feels as heavy as a stone. No, this will not do. I'm afraid I must insist that you submit to a full examination before the hearing commences. Lalai? Lalai, can you hear me? Someone fetch a healer. Wait, that's me. This is no time for panicking, my friend. I must carry her to a frontistery with all speed. Alright, do that. I fear it is as I suspected. The etheric balance within her has broken down entirely, and unchecked energies are now eating away at her from within. I can only assume that playing host to Shatato's memories has put a terrible strain on her, one from which she has yet to completely recover. Yet it would seem that her mind and spirit are in mortal peril. I've never witnessed this degree of ethereal imbalance before. I do not suppose you have? I saw a man transformed into an unholy abomination. I see. I can scarcely imagine all you have witnessed in your travels, but an imbalance of ether similar to what I now observe in Lalai would appear to be behind the phenomena you describe. If we can assume that the memories of Shatoto taking up residence in Lalai's corporeal form stimulated her etheric flow, causing it to shift violently in an astral direction, then it only stands to reason we could restore balance by introducing a counteracting umbral aspect. Level 12. I think I got it, and yet the process will not be quick nor easy. I suppose we have no choice but to ask Master Kurobuki to delay the hearing. Delay the hearing? Have you lost what little wits you had? Why, if word got out that my condition was the result of my pursuits of the dark arts, it would all but seal Yaku's case against me. No, we must proceed as planned before our opponents are wiser. Desiree, here's my magnum opus, the fruit of all we went through together. I leave it in your capable hands. Go on ahead, and I will be along in due time. Are you mad? You can't possibly mean to attend the proceedings in your current condition. Of course not. Fortunately, I just so happen to know a hero who, despite being an insufferable stick in the mud, has proven himself more than capable in the healing arts. Lalai. Very well, leave it to me. I will see that you are back on your feet before the judgment is rendered. Until then, I suppose it's up to Desiree here. Godspeed, my friend. Lalai will be joining the proceedings a touch late, you say? That is most unlike her, to say the least. She's entrusted her records to you. Very well. With any luck, we will be able to use them to our advantage. Now allow me to see them. The priors will be here all too soon. Lalai has not even the courtesy to arrive on time on the hearing she herself requested. I swear the woman's selfishness knows no bounds. I move that her request be dismissed immediately. It's for her own good. Her own good, yes. It is as I suspected. You speak from your own experience, don't you, child? I recall that you too once took an unpopular position in support of your erstwhile master, Momoepo, one that earned you only the ire of your brothers and sisters. Yes, and what of it? I fought for a hopeless cause that in the end served only to isolate me from my peers. Is it so wrong that I wish to save Lalai from a similar fate? She must abandon this farce at once and return to her rightful place in the order. To this I cannot agree. In the short time before these proceedings, I perused what I could of these tomes. In their pages are writ not only forbidden secrets of black magic, but accounts of astounding phenomena the likes of which even I could scarce imagine. Lalai conducted her research without the support or interference of the Order, and the fruits that research has borne cannot be denied. While our guild could not support 1,000 others like her, I see little to gain from stifling one woman's passion and forcing her to work within such rigid rules and regulations. The merits of both arguments are not lost on me, and yet I must confess a degree of ignorance about the matter at hand. All know that black magic was forbidden for its role in bringing disaster to our world. And yet, you still practice this art. Tell me, adventurer, is this magic as calamitous as the rumors say? It depends on who wields it and to what end. If I understand you correctly, you would argue that in the right hands, even the art of destruction might serve a greater good. And yet, how are we to be certain that this sister Lalai can be trusted with such potentially ruinous knowledge? My apologies, Prioress. By your leave, I would tell my tale. Black magic is an inherently dangerous art. This I cannot and will not deny. Never would I suggest that even a single mage pursue this path without full knowledge of the perils that lie ahead. That is precisely why I have recorded in painstaking detail not only the arcane knowledge I have gleaned, but every last one of the myriad phenomena both wondrous and terrifying I've experienced in its pursuit. Unbreakable bonds formed with beastmen who once fought our sworn enemies, body and souls consumed by the pursuit of forbidden knowledge, an unspeakable calamity revisited upon our world after millennia. We must leave this knowledge to posterity, that our sons and daughters do not repeat the mistakes of our past. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. This is the crux of your argument, yes? Very well, Master Kokobuki. I hereby order you to establish a research organization under the auspices of your guild to further study the impact of black magic. I also grant you permission to store the aforementioned tomes in your archives, under the condition that Sister Lalai oversees them. Understood. I will see that both the tomes and Lalai herself find a safe home within our halls. I still am not entirely convinced, but if the guildmaster himself is willing to accept responsibility, I have no reason to oppose. Prioress Dulala, Master Kokobuki, I cannot thank you enough. Mark my word, you will not regret this decision. I will see to it that this knowledge is passed down as it should be, that the errors of our past will never be repeated. To think the day would come that our art would be recognized once more. Well, I do believe the proceedings went about as well as could be expected. I suppose this means that Lalai is now directly under my supervision. Don't think you'll be getting free rein around here simply because I vouched for you, child. I expect regular reports on any and all of your findings. Only through transparency will black magic ever be accepted by doubters and skeptics. Understood. I shall begin to prepare my first report at once. But before that, There's another with whom I'd like to share these tidings. That is by your leave, Guildmaster? I believe you know well of whom I speak. He awaits us at the Sacrarium. Come along, Desiree. I'm relieved to see the girl's etheric balance restored. I suppose it was one of your companions who aided in this, yes? One thing I will say for Lalai, she's passionate about her beliefs. Why not? I will see that she's treated fairly by her brothers and sisters. Well, at least Yayake is not a sore loser. Lalai has already shared the good news with me. Why, I couldn't be happier for the both of you. And so, you see, I simply thought that, well... Whatever's the matter, Lalai. With your moment of triumph, I would expect you to be more... triumphant. Of course I am. It's simply that, well... Clearly, I could not have... I did not accomplish this on my own, so... Desiree of a Black, and yes, you as well, Zaya Nelam. You have my deepest gratitude. Well, I dare say this has been a momentous day in more ways than one. Once again, Lalai, my congratulations, and you're most welcome. And with that, I should be on my way. But next we meet, I would introduce my colleagues from Stilgate Fane. Now that you are no longer a pariah, I suppose they would not be averse to exchanging knowledge with you? And just when I was beginning to take a liking to that dolt. At any rate, though my official position may have changed, my mission remains the same. I will do all in my power to preserve our art for future generations. Pray continue to lend me your aid. Desiree of a Black. Back in black form. We get the title of Stranger Shadow. Desiree Kling of a Black, the very founder of our ancient art, has entrusted you with carrying on her legacy. I'm proud to say that you, if anyone, are surely up to the task. If there's aught I can do to aid you, you need to but say the word. How fare you? While I cannot say I enjoy having to file these excruciatingly detailed reports to Master Kokobuki, it is indeed most liberating to be able to continue my arcane pursuits with a full blessing and support of the Order. To think the day would come when I could peruse the myriads of tomes archived in the ossuary in broad daylight. Needless to say, there's virtually boundless knowledge that may yet be reaped from this. By comparing my own findings to those of Master Kokobuki, I might learn much of how our art has changed and evolved as it was passed down through the years, and perhaps even unearth and revive aspects of it that have been lost to time. I see Yayake muttering and mumbling to herself each time I walk past her on her way to the archives, but I say, let her mutter. I have never let the worries of smaller minds get in the way of my research, and I do not intend to start now. Good for you, Lalai. And what does Master Kokobuki think about this? I can feel the etheric energy within you burgeoning to nigh inconceivable heights. I can only imagine the immense destructive power you must now possess, but I trust you have put them to proper use to overcome the great obstacles in your path. Having plunged deeper and deeper into the abyss, one might say that your very existence is the embodiment of shadow itself. Oh, there's the guild. Lalai continues her pursuit of arcane knowledge with all the prudence and discretion of a charging bull. Why, at times she even reminds me of Kokobuzi when he was inconveniently possessed. Why, they say that just the other day she attempted to take a forbidden tome housing a most terrible voidsent from the shelves. Yaka wouldn't let me hear the end of it. I warned her time and again that she must follow proper protocol if she wishes to stay in the good graces of the Order, but the girl seems ill-inclined to acquiesce. I do not want to see her ruin all she has accomplished, so I will do what I can to help her see the light. So she is a bit too reckless for her own good, yeah? And with the power of black magic, that is bad. Let's hope nothing comes from that, ever. At least nothing bad. Anyway, that shall be this episode. Until next time, I'm Ace, and don't get lost.